Hi, welcome to Cinex Movies. Today we'll see a movie titled Moon Knight, a movie about a man with multiple personality disorder and his close ties to ancient Egyptian deities. Sit back, relax and enjoy. Arthur Harrow puts the same shoes on his bare feet after pouring the broken glass into a pair of them. He enters a big unoccupied house while using the cane. Stephen Grant becomes awake before leaving his bed, which is encircled by a little sand frame. He releases the strap around his right ankle. While feeding his one-finned goldfish, Stephen makes a call to his mother. After finishing, he momentarily gets interrupted by a man selling brooms outside his door before leaving his house and leaving a voicemail on his mother's phone. Stephen takes a bus to the British Museum in London, where there is an ancient Egypt exhibit. The little girl he is explaining the mummification ritual to is cut off by his supervisor Donna, who addresses him as Stevie. She reprimands him for giving tours when he should be concentrating on selling items from the shop. He corrects her by calling him Stephen. A different employee comes up to Stephen and inquires about their plans for the next night's steak dinner at 7 o'clock. He can't remember, but he guesses she's asking him out. As Donna returns and inquires about what a vegan might have at a steakhouse, she giggles and turns to leave. She leaves after he rejects her comment. Stephen gets another reprimand from Donna as they are closing, which is why she put him in charge of inventory. He tries to bring out some of the historical errors in the items being sold at the museum, but Donna won't pay attention. When he explains that the Ennead is composed up of 9 Egyptian gods, but that only 7 of them are visible in the artwork they are selling, Donna makes fun of the error and proceeds to belittle Stephen before shooing him away. Stephen bids a security guard farewell and responds to his salutation of Scotty as he departs. He narrates his sleepwalking to a gold-painted street performer mime. In between his complaints, Stephen helps the performer out by tipping him and assisting him in getting tips for shots with visitors. He comes to the realization that in order to commit to a girlfriend, he must get rid of his sleepwalking. The last time he tips the hat, it is seen in the mirror of a puddle with a green leaf landing on it and creating ripples. Stephen covers his bed with sand and locks his doors individual locks. While he plays about with a Rubik's Cube, he fastens his ankle constraint and starts to listen to a podcast about staying awake. As the podcast advocates reading a book as a method of keeping the mind alert, clips of him engaging in different activities to do so include reading about the Ennead. The phrase, "think of yourself as a part of the story," is heard by Stephen. He abruptly awakens in severe jaw pain in what appears to be a town's grassy field. When he doesn't understand, the voice says, the idiot is in control, and he is urged to yield the body to Stephen. He then rises up after hearing these instructions. As a bird-like humanoid figure approaches him from behind carrying a staff, Stephen takes out a gold Egyptian item from his pocket. When he turns around, he realizes that he is trespassing on a castle's grounds and is being shot at by its soldiers. The voice tells him to flee, so he does, dodging every bullet the guards fired as they chase after him. He eventually reaches a part of the town where Harrow, a man with long hair dressed in a dark red outfit that is eerily reminiscent of a pair of glass-filled slippers dude, is being greeted by the locals who clear a path for him. Harrow directs everyone to the open town square, where he speaks about how lovely the day is. He informs the populace that it is their responsibility to make the earth as heavenly as they can. Who then wishes to proceed first? When a random man approaches, Harrow welcomes him and praises him for having prepared to serve the goddess Ammit, even before she is released from captivity and surrendering his soul for judgment. As the guy performs a rite to judge the name in the name of Ammit, the Egyptian burial goddess and a god of death, Harrow places the cane in his hands. Harrow's right arm tattoo of a scale animates ever so little as Stephen and the other residents of the town gaze on. He then gives the man a hug and says, "You're a nice man." As Harrow discloses that Stephen's name is Arthur, the guards keep looking among the onlookers for him. Stephen observes as Arthur accepts a woman, and his scale tattoo twitches to the side and goes crimson. The one who receives Ammit's verdict falls back, and people carry her lifeless body away as Arthur apologizes to her. Harrow was apprised of the situation by the armed guards pursuing Stephen. Arthur issues an order in ancient Egyptian to weed out the spy, and Stephen is quickly recognized as an abnormality there. Stephen introduces himself to the throng as Stephen Grant of the British Museum's gift shop, while Arthur labels him as a mercenary. When Stephen refuses to give Arthur the scarab, the voice threatens, "You will give him nothing." Even though Stephen wanted to give Arthur the relic and end the situation, he keeps the scarab away from him without recognizing what he is doing. Stephen passes out as the crowd surrounds him and tries to remove the scarab from his fingers. He regains consciousness when he hears the voice stating, "Oh no, the idiot's back." Stephen is currently in the same position, holding the scarab immobile, with blood on his hands and 5 possibly dead people lying asleep nearby. The voice orders him not to drop the scarab as he tries to escape in an American van with the driver's side on the left. As the chase between Stephen and the various automobiles builds momentum, Stephen once more passes out. When he awakens, however, he notices that the windshield has been broken, the attacker is dead, and Stephen is holding his gun. Stephen nearly avoids a truck carrying logs as the voice now warns him, warning him not to lose the scarab. He does not have time to ask for clarification. With the exception of 2, the truck pursues the remaining automobiles while still carrying its logs. As the final Jeep draws up in front of Stephen and a car slides off the road, Stephen panics and blacks out once more before waking up. 2 guards are approaching the van that is broken down as the voice criticizes him for dropping the gun. The truck's logs crash into the lower highway of the slope, taking out the guards and violently rousing Stephen asleep in his apartment as he starts to fear once more. Stephen is relieved to see that he is tethered to his bedpost. The associate is completely baffled by Stephen's bizarre behavior as he goes about his morning routine, feeding the goldfish and noticing that his fin has grown back at the pet show. Stephen cannot remember going to the pet store the day before, but when he notices that the time is close to 5 p.m., he remembers that he is supposed to have a date. Stephen gets ready at home and heads to the restaurant to meet his date. Stephen contacts her and reminds her that they were scheduled for a 7 p.m. Friday steak when she doesn't arrive. Stephen is informed that it is Sunday and advised to delete her phone number. Stephen is left speechless and completely bewildered. Despite having no idea how to order steak, he gives in and places an order on his mother's voicemail. As he returns home, Stephen switches the lights in his apartment on and off before indulging in the box of chocolates he had brought for his date. Trying to pick up some of the chocolates he spilled, he drops some sprinkles into the goldfish's tank. He also observed a drag on the floorboard and other odd things going on in his apartment. A car key and a cell phone with numerous missed calls from Layla and 1 missed call from Duchem are found when he tries to look beneath a loose board above his pantry. Layla answers the phone and is shocked to hear from him that he is still alive after all these months. She asks where his British accent originated from and recognizes Stephen as Mark, another identity he has used. When Stephen asks why she phoned him, the line is disconnected. Stephen hears someone calling his name and tries to identify them. The lights start to flicker as Stephen hears the voice say, "You need to stop," and he flees from his apartment in terror to the elevator in an effort to escape this terrifying reality. When Stephen stares in the mirror during the elevator's 2nd floor descent, he sees a monster coming for him. When Stephen comes face to face with the monster's beak, he suddenly wakes up on the bus and startles everyone. As he steps off the bus, Stephen notices Arthur and realizes that he is indeed there. He tries to ask GT, the security guard, for assistance as he enters the museum, but Donna interrupts him. In the museum, Stephen runs into Arthur and leaves Donna. He encounters Arthur, who is using a cane, after following a man he observed on the bus. The security guy announces, "Praise Emmett," as he asks another guard for assistance while revealing his scale tattoo. He hears Arthur's explanation of Emmett's philosophy. She became bored of waiting until sinners actually committed their crimes before punishing them, so she invented a technique to purify sinners in advance of committing them. He explains to Stephen that Emmett assesses every aspect of our lives, even our unknowable futures. The historical records, Stephen quips, have forgotten that bit. If Emmett had been free among other horrific disasters, she could have been able to save the fall of the Holy Roman Empire in the Holocaust. According to Arthur, Emmett was betrayed and imprisoned by arrogant fellow gods. Stephen only understands the term avatar from pop culture, but Arthur claims that Emmett was deceived by her own avatar. Arthur puts Stephen up for Emmett's judgment since he is aware of the voice in his head. On Stephen's arms, the scale hangs from the cane. Unrest within Stephen is symbolized by the uncontrollable trembling of Arthur's scale tattoo. As the doors to a different display open, Stephen flees Arthur. Stephen decides to go after completing the day's inventory. He listens to sounds and pursues them out of curiosity. Stephen is being pursued as well, and Arthur warns him to return the scarab or risk dying in the process over the museum's public address system, while he hides from an unknown beast. When Stephen tries to hide in the men's toilet, Marc Spector, his true alter ego, confronts him in the mirror and tells him that in order to save them from their precarious condition, Stephen must entirely give Marc control. The creature then attempts to flee but is drawn back in and pummeled to what is assumed to be its last demise by a light gray-clad hero wearing a face-covering cowl, a hood, and a cape. Steven accepts and lets Marc take over as the creature breaks in and assaults him. His name is Moon Knight. Watch out for a second episode. Please like, share, and subscribe for more videos on the go. Stay safe and take care.